Hey goalies, Keaton here. So I wanted to speak to pre-shot cues. That's a little bit of a mouthful, but basically what are we seeing as that guy is opening up that blade and shooting? Now, I've heard some goalie coaches out there say you actually can't predict the shot. You just need 10,000 plus reps of shots going to certain areas to build up muscle memory and pattern recognition. I don't fully disagree. Our brains need to be able to just kind of fill the spaces where there's missing information because the puck gets released relatively quick, so you can't see it crystal clear the entire way through. But we can actually read off of how that player is holding their stick, their body, and how they release it as some of the information. Now, I believe we are still taking in multiple forms of information to track that puck as efficiently as possible. We're taking into account how they're holding that blade in relation to their body, because it's going to be tough, let's say, for me to shoot to my right, the goalie's left, if I'm holding the puck here, when they're flexing on their stick as a sign of a shot. They're also taking into account the openness of the blade, both left and right, and let's say the openness of the blade both up or down. Now, the bulk of our information is still coming off of that puck actually leaving that player's stick and going in the air. We're trying to read both the left and right angle change and the height trajectory to judge where it's going. But we can feed off of these visual pre-shot cues to give us a little bit of a step ahead and hopefully prime our brain and our body for the actual release. Now, if I'm going to shoot to the goalie's blocker side, which would be my left, and the goalie's trapper side would be my right here, I have to have that blade open. I can't have my blade be on this angle and I shoot to the trapper side. Now, as players get more skillful with age, they are obviously able to be a little bit more deceptive. All right, and let's say maybe look like they're shooting to that trapper side, but then open up that blade mid-release. 100% that can happen. But again, they still need to make that last second change. So if our brain and our eyes can feed off of those little micro changes, we are then keeping up to pace with their micro changes, and we're able to read and react appropriately. If this blade is, let's say, open to that goalie's blocker side, obviously going to the blocker side. If the blade is a little flatter or let's say more neutral, it's probably going lower. I wouldn't say 100% on the ice, because if I'm going to shoot 100% on the ice to get a lot of torque out of my blade, usually my blade will be a little bit more cupped. This is probably a little bit more low blocker, and this is probably a little bit more high blocker. Now, the same thing for the trapper side. You usually have to pull the blade in a little bit more to get the blade to open and to get a little bit more torque on it. But usually the blade is a little bit more neutral through its loading process. And then when I finally shoot, you can see that the blade does open up to that glove side. Let's say this would be more high glove. Let's say this would be more low glove, just above the pad. And this would probably be a little bit more flush to the ice. So I don't want to be too long-winded here. We can use these pre-shot cues to prime our brain and our body to actually read that puck pop off the blade. I hope this all makes sense, guys. Please leave a comment if you have any questions. Obviously, there are nuances to this, and players are pretty deceptive and creative. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure I'm teaching goalies to read these black and white scenarios. They will build nuances into their game as they play with hired skilled athletes. But if we can realize that the blade needs to be angled on a certain angle or held in a certain space to be able to shoot pucks to certain areas, that is important information for us to know. Hope this makes sense, guys.